Oh, hello everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. So I hope you like the new background, because today's stream is a little bit different from what it is that we normally do on this channel, which is like political type discussions and whatever. But I don't know about you guys, but I definitely could use a change from that. There's so much that goes on in the world every single day, so I thought that I'd take you back with me, take you on a gander through my trip to one of my favorite places that I've ever visited, actually, Greece. Now, it should be noted that I will be taking you through the second half of this Greece trip, because we already did the first half of the Greece trip many moons ago, and the reason why we've been putting it off is because there wasn't a really good way to display... Here, let me turn down the music a little bit. I'm using a different bard music because I thought it would be fitting for the change of scenery, which is the ocean. Look at that. I love that loop. But, I wanted to make it a little bit more special than just an average hangout where I'm sharing my page. I wanted to include people in it. And last time we had Jolandar, which we'll be getting on again shortly. By the way, everyone, remember, you have access to the Discord through the link in the description down below. You can join the call-in segment, and we can have a lovely discussion, and I can tell you all about my trip to Greece. I have so many stories, I have pictures, I have my notes actually in front of me in case I do actually forget anything, but I have wonderful experiences traveling in my short 21 years of life, and I would like to share them with you every once in a while when I can. If I can. I'd also like to go traveling more and more often, and I hope that at some point I can, like, incorporate my traveling into my YouTube channel a little bit. Because, okay, we already have, and before we get into the actual Greece part of this trip, because I want to make sure that people kind of file in those people who actually want to hear about me talk about my trip to Greece. I'm gonna like give a little bit of an interlude, I guess, and then I'm gonna get some people on, and then we can get into the picture-y type portion of this. Ooh, I'll have to give you guys a link to that who are in the Discord too, because you won't be able to watch it concurrently. Regardless, so that's kind of why me and SDA, we want to go on a road trip across the entire continental United States. So that's 48 states, that's every state, and we're going on that road trip because she and I. Yes. We like traveling. We like seeing new things. Neither of us really want to get settled into the rest of our lives after we graduate from college immediately, because once you settle, it's kind of hard to disrupt that, you know? So, I've always wanted to travel. That's always been the most consistent thing that I've ever wanted to do with my life, ever since I was a little girl. My grandmother has traveled the world 8 separate times with her late husband, and, you know, that has made a significant impact on me, and I can't, in good faith, ignore that drive, that necessity, in favor of a more comfortable life, I guess? I don't know what I'm saying. I want to travel. That's what I'm saying. That's all. That's quite literally it. I hope you guys like the music, and I hope you guys like the background too. I mean, we can go back to the orange balls if you want, but I kind of like the aesthetic this is giving off. What do you guys think? Thomas Coons, will you do fan meetups if you do that? Yes, we will actually. There is a let me grab there is a survey that we are putting out there for the road trip. So I will put that in the chat. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. That is the Google Forms survey to kind of, get that ball rolling, because we haven't come out with a budget plan yet. That's what we're still working on. We haven't come out, well, we're not going to come out with a route plan until after the fact, for very obvious reason. We don't want people to kind of follow us, but we will have meetup locations. That's also what this is going to be kind of driving us towards. The music is just okay. I could switch it back to the other tavern music, or I have a few other things loaded up in the thing that we could switch to. So if it gets too repetitive, you don't like it, I can certainly switch it. It's totally fine. We have options, ladies and gentlemen. Weebo is legal in US now, so only place I'm interested in going is Japan. Oh, weed! Weed is legal in the US now, so only place I'm interested in going is Japan. Exploring the temples and shrines would be a lot of fun. I'd love to go to Japan. My grandparents actually lived in Japan with my father very early into his life, so I mean, it would kind of be it would be interesting because my grandmother has a deep love of Asian culture, and I kind of want to see what she's on about. The original weeb in my family. Lion Patriot says, Weebo, forget the other 47. Tennessee is the place to visit. I suppose. Alright, so without further ado, I'm gonna grab some people from the Discord. If you would like to join in on this lovely discussion of the culture of Greece and the beautiful civilization that is Greece, you can certainly jump into the waiting room and I will pull you in. Hello, Jolandar. How are you this fine afternoon? Can you hear me, Jolandar? I cannot hear you. What is going on? Oh no, Jolandar. It's okay. We have contingencies for this. What's up, fool? Why you no talk? Anyway, that's fine. It's totally fine. Much grease, very feta. Wow. You know, you're not wrong. I'm not kidding when I say that feta is kind of a staple of Greece diets. What I mean by that is that every morning when we wake up in Athens to go to breakfast, they'd have like a buffet laid out and they'd have all of these options. So we'd have like Greek yogurt, obviously. But we'd also have like fruits and veggies with some feta cheese. So there were cucumbers, tomatoes, red onions, I believe, and feta. Feta all the time. All of the feta. And maybe some other type of dressing-y type thing. There was olive oil, obviously. But that's besides the point. It was a very interesting experience because I'd never thought that you could eat salad for breakfast. But I was apparently wrong. Oh, also, they put honey in their yogurt. Or at least that's what we did. Honey and maybe... Holy shit! You scared the fuck out of me. Now, now I have coffee in my hands. Jeez. I thought you were just... Were you having troubles, or are you just trying to wait for the optimal moment to scare me? Oh, I see. Sound was muted. Oh, that's totally fine. That was an experience. Don't scare me when I have hot coffee in my hands. By the way, this is so that I don't fall asleep at my 7 p.m. class later tonight. Alright, so, I should probably drop at least the first link to the first, what do you call it? The first slideshow thing. So what I did was, and here's another reason why it took so long, because I couldn't find a good enough format to actually share all of the pictures for the slideshow for this, and so I had to kind of go digging, and I finally settled on Microsoft Office Sway, if you're familiar with that program. Because I had all of my photos in a specific order, and they had to be in that specific order because my notes were in a specific order, and I didn't want to rewrite my notes. Ooh, that's gonna be an interesting experience. Sorry, I'm reconfiguring my desktop right here so that it's not a mad hassle. And then there's my light. All right, because the way that I have to set this up is gonna be an interesting experience for me because I'm reading my notes. I'm also controlling the PowerPoint for the things, and also I'm running OBS. So I have to at some point switch over to. Okay, so I'm gonna switch over to the PowerPoint. I sound so professional. And we're gonna start off in day 7 in Olympia. Oh, what? There we go. We're gonna start off day 7, Olympia. I hope you guys can see that all right. Is that good? I think that's good. And I hope I configured this correctly enough, because if I didn't, we're not going back. I'm just gonna wing it. It's gonna be a hot mess. It's gonna be all over the place. No, I'm just kidding. It's gonna be fun. I have complete and utter faith in my ability to do things. Grease is bad for your cholesterol, says Mon Chichi. Well, I would assume so. By the way, if you would like to contribute funds to my next grand adventure, which I intend to make Paris, actually. I came out with a poll on Twitter about where it is that I should go on my next excursion. And I had the option to go to Paris as well as, Italy and England. And I decided on Paris. Hi, Lion Patriot, by the way. I just pulled you in. I hope that wasn't too jarring for you. Alright, that's good. But I had the option to go to either Paris or England and Italy, and I chose Paris, mainly because we get to talk about the French Revolution. And I'm a little bit more interested in that than the scientific revolution. And also, I don't like that teacher that's going on the scientific revolution one in Italy and England as much as I like the one that's going to the Paris one. So I think it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable for me personally if we go to Paris. Oh yes. And, you know, never been to Paris. I'll make it to England and Italy eventually, no doubt. I want to travel the world. I want to travel the world so badly. And I'd like to do something like this every year or so. So last year it was Greece. This coming up year it's going to be Paris. Hopefully if I can swing it. That's the thing. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, I think. Actually, no, it'll probably be less expensive because we're not going on a cruise for a week. Which we did in Greece, which you'll get to see. Okay, so day 7 is Olympia. We went to Olympia on the day 7, and for those of you who are unaware, Olympia is where they did the original Olympics, which is where all of the Greek city-states in Greece got together for sports ball and running things, which is a scientific term. Oh, you guys can't hear them. That's because I turned off that desktop audio. Thank you, Cap'n Crab, for letting me know that my guests were quiet because I'm a dum-dum. It wouldn't be a Weebo stream without a boomer moment, would it, though, ladies and gentlemen?
No, absolutely not.
When am I gonna come to Germany? Dude, I'm so there. I'm ready to go to Germany. I'd love to go to Poland, too. There are so many places that I want to visit, internationally as well as, like, nationally on my list of places to travel to. I want to do this so badly. I don't know, I want to become that worldly person who's been places before I have kids so that I can tell them, hey, your mama did all this cool stuff. Look at my pictures. You know you want to be as cool as me. I want to be the cool parent because right now boyfriend is probably going to be the cool parent. Geez, this is loud. Oh, are you talking about the others? Here, I can turn them down a little bit as well. You guys gotta let me know if there's a problem with the audio or something so that I can adjust accordingly because I'm still a boomer when it comes to this kind of stuff. This is a learning process, people, so I apologize. Anyway, so day 7, Olympia. This is the arch that kind of you would see at the end of your tour of Olympia, actually. But I chose it as the first one because I'm like, look at how beautiful that picture is. Oh, I can't remember.
Very symmetrical.
It is very symmetrical, but it's actually kind of collapsing on itself, because normally you would have, I don't know if you can see my mouse. No, you can't see my mouse. But normally you would have the arch extend all the way outwards, and then you would have your champions kind of enter into the arena from this archway to the rest of the people for, I believe this is the track. Yeah, I think this is the track. It's been months, man. It's been like almost a year, actually, since I was in Greece. Time flies. Time flies. As much as another Weebo goes crazy and talks to herself stream would be funny, I got your back, Weebo. Thank you, Cap'n Crab. Don't let me do that. Yeah, tech support Weebo here. You guys know that I'm a computer science major.
I've heard rumors.
I've heard rumors. You know, I don't always make the discipline proud, but sometimes I have my moments of shinery. Anyway, so let's continue on. Oh, this is great. Okay, so this, if you're unfamiliar with Olympia, they had, I guess, the Temple of Zeus. It's kind of in ruins now, because that's what happens after several thousands of years of time goes by. You have destruction, weathering, people abandon sites for whatever odd reason. In this case, I believe it was flooding, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But these are the pediments to the Temple of Zeus. Now, the Temple of Zeus is kind of important. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Greek pantheon was headed by the king of the gods, whose name was Zeus. So a temple to him would be extremely important. Of course, since it's at Olympia, where it is that all of the Greek city-states would congregate every 4 years for sports ball and, you know, celebration to the gods. It's kind of a big deal. But these are the pediments. So the pediments, if you imagine a triangle, the way that Greek architecture works, it's like a big building with a whole bunch of columns on either side, and then there's a roof area. And across the roof, obviously, is the roof portion. But on each side, where you would kind of have Normally at a normal house, you would have the siding just there. These would be the pediments that would form the base of the triangle, or the space in the triangle, the area of the triangle that creates the roof. And in these pediments, they have different stories that are essentially telling different Greek myths. So, for instance, I believe this is the East pediments, and they are meant to depict the tale of Pelops just before a chariot race when he kills the king, and I'm gonna get this wrong, but I'm reading it off my notes. Oh no. I took Greek for 2 semesters last year, and I can't pronounce Greek words. Oh gosh. Education, people, am I right? It does wonders.
You can do it.
Oenomaus. Oenomaus. In order to win the hand of his daughter, Hippodamia. Jeez, I am doing my boyfriend a disservice. For those of you who don't know, Weebonitis is actually, in fact, Greek. Or, I guess, Macedonian would be a little bit more of a technical way of saying that. Macedonian. Regardless, I digress. So these are the pediments, and this is the West pediments. This is actually a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, I think, because it's the story of a wedding, in which a whole bunch of centaurs kind of crash the party and kill all of the guests. So the way that I wrote it down was, this is a battle between Lapiths and centaurs, mythical tribes of northern Greece. And this took place at a wedding feast, because if you don't know, back in the day, when there were people that were getting married, they'd have big old feasts. You know, the same thing that we kind of do now with,
Have feasts and get in fights, kind of like we do now.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, they'd have feasts, get in a fight, have a good time. So the centaurs are horsemen people. You can kind of see that right here with this guy, right? In the center. And they were invited to the wedding, but they drank too much, as one does at a wedding. And they kind of got out of hand and attempted to abduct the Lapith women.
What are they going to do with them?
Jolandar.
What?
What do you think they're going to do with them? Centaurs are notorious for a few things in Greek mythology. One of them is helping Greek heroes to do great things. The other thing is a little bit less noble, in my opinion, but I think a lot of people would share my opinion. Anyway, so they got wine drunk, had a blast, made off with some of the women, and then killed a whole bunch of people. And now that figure off to the left that you see, who's holding a guy's head, or it looks like he's holding a guy's head, and also has his ding-a-ling chopped off, which is why I didn't have to censor it out, because it's not there, YouTube. It is not there. Anyway, that's Apollo. Yep. Naked guy's Apollo, and he's standing, like, just kind of calmly in the center of all of this chaos.
Looks like he's laying hands on and blessing that figure to his right.
Now, see, we don't know exactly what's going on, because as you can see, a lot of the pediments are missing in this, and this is the case with a lot of the pediments. Here's a bigger view of that, kind of, I think. Yeah? No, this is a different, I think these are the East pediments again. But we have enough of a picture that we can kind of gauge what's going on, but not all of it, and that's because after several thousand years, things start to decay and get lost and crumble into dust, because everything is made of stone here, and stone is not made to last. So then we move on to here's another view of the pediments themselves, and just to kind of give you an indication of what that looks like. Oh, this got cut off. There we go. Okay, we can see a little bit more of it. So, are you guys familiar with the brand Nike?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, well, she's a Greek goddess warrior. Did you know that? She's a goddess of victory.
Yes, I did.
And it's actually pronounced Nike, I believe, if my Greek is correct, which it should be. This was a statue that was created at 420 BCE, and there's a reason why the Greek goddess of victory is present at Olympia. Can you guess? Any guesses, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just curious.
Shoe branding.
Shoe brand. Yes, exactly. There you go. Brand names. You know, Nike was, she endorsed a lot of the ancient Greek champions from different Greek city-states. And you'd often see a lot of Greek champions with, you know, the shoes with the logo.
But she was supposed to bless all the participants, wasn't she?
Well, yeah, the intention was obviously that by, you know, inviting the goddess of victory, that someone would win, obviously. But it is interesting because you can't see her face, but and I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but I don't want to mess anything up. Okay, I guess you can kind of see a little bit. No, you can't. I can't adjust the image, but you can kind of see the detail in the stonework is marvelous in itself. And the fact that it's actually lasted as long as it did is grand. It's indicative of some spectacular stonemasonry, if I do say so myself. Masonry is not just the act of putting two slabs of brick together, right? It's also like chiseling away at stone. I use that word correctly. Sculpting. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Not masonry. What am I talking about? Anyway, so this is actually pretty cool too. This is the helmet of the Greek warrior. Blah, 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 blah. The Greek warrior Miltiades. And I know I didn't say that right. But, so he's a hero of the Battle of Marathon. So for those of you who are unaware, that's an important battle. I think we talk about it a little bit. Yeah, when we go to Marathon, we're going to talk about that a little bit more too. Because we do, in fact, visit Marathon, which is a very important Greek battle in the Peloponnesian War? No, oh, it's been a while since I remembered my Greek studies.
I think you had it right first time.
It was the Peloponnesian War? I have it
that
written down in
sounds
my notes.
right.
I know I have it written down in my notes. Did the chat freeze on me, or are you guys just not being talkative at all?
Well, as normal, it ended with butt stuff, so.
Nice. Okay. So anyway, Miltiades was born around 550 BC, and is the son of Simon Kolalemos. I know I got that wrong too. He ordered the Greek hoplites to form a line equal in length to that of the Persians. It was the Persian War.
Okay, gotcha.
Not the Peloponnesian War. I'm a dum-dum. Yeah, the defeat of Xerxes the First. That's what I was thinking of, because I was like, hang on, because the Battle of Marathon included Persians. It didn't include all. Yeah, no, I knew I was getting that wrong, because the Peloponnesian. Okay. I know what I'm talking about. I was a little bit skeptical. I'm not 100%, but you know what? That's why we have the notes. Notes are important. So Miltiades was confident in his army, so he convinced his fellow generals to attack the Persians' lines at a dead run. As a result, only 192 of his soldiers were killed, while the army slaughtered 6,400 Persians, roughly, give or take.
How do they know that's his helmet? Did they have some sort of something with it to document that?
Yes, you can actually see very faintly on the side of the helmet where he engraved in the helmet.
Oh, down near the cheek right there?
Yeah, down right near the cheek. I believe that's exactly what that is. That is his signature, because back in the day, people had a tendency to sign their thing.
And now that you point it out, it's very obvious.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway. So, moving on. This... excuse me. Is a painting of the chryselephantine Greek cult... Jesus, that coffee. Cult statue of Zeus, and obviously it doesn't really exist anymore because for whatever reason they like to take the gold and ivory statues down and steal them and put them all over the world for whatever reason. But you can kind of see this is Zeus, and he's holding his staff and he's sitting on his throne, and in his outstretched hand we have Nike, the goddess of victory, obviously, again because she's so important, especially at Olympia. And this was created by Phidias, the sculptor, around 430 BCE. Yes, I remember that, because he also did the chryselephantine cult statue of Athena, which could have been found in the Parthenon around that time. No longer is it there, because one, the Parthenon is in a decrepit state. Two, it was stolen and taken all across the Aegean And 3, they just don't last for whatever reason. Phidias gets screwed on multiple counts for his work. I mean, we know that they existed, we can't see them anymore, and it's just a right shame. It's a right shame.
Looks like an impressive statue.
Oh yeah, it's a very impressive statue. Oh, no, I didn't want to go on yet. But, this is what it would have looked like. I grabbed a picture of what it would have looked like, because I thought, you know what, I still want to talk about this. I still want to discuss it, because it does look regal, and it's huge. They're massive statues. If you go to Tennessee, there's a replica of the cult statue of Athena in the Parthenon that they replicated as well. And it's huge, man. I'd like to go visit, obviously, because I'm a nerd like that. But, you know, it's still, I would have liked to see the original one. It's just, you ever get those comments about how people were born in the wrong time period?
Mm-hmm.
Me. Alright, so moving on.
Does the throne still exist?
I don't think so, no, because the actual temple itself has just been, you can actually
decimated.
See, it's been decimated. I think I have a picture in here, actually, of the actual toppled, Greek columns that are there, and they're huge compared to, like, my size. They're taller than me, I think, and I'll show it to you in a minute, because I'm pretty sure I have some pictures from outside of Olympia, but this is inside the museum, and this is the statue of Hermes and the infant Dionysus. I had to censor out the Pimi, because you're not supposed to have those on the interwebs, and I didn't want to take a chance. Because, you know, sometimes that'll get you. Do we have anyone in the waiting room waiting?
No, we're clear.
Alright, cool. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing out on anyone else's willing commentary. So this is a, you know, picture of Hermes and the infant Dionysus in the temple of Hera at Olympia, because there is also a temple of Hera, except that I think it actually lasted a bit long. I think it outlasted the Temple of Zeus. That's probably because it's a little bit smaller, obviously, than the Temple of Zeus was. But yeah.
Why is that baby perched like a bird on his arm?
Because it's a weird baby.
Okay.
Dionysus. He's just doing his Dionysus thing on the arm. But yeah, you can actually look at this sculpturing, and it's just magnificent, the way that it kind of just grafts the human body into stone. I've never, I don't know. If I were to be an artist, I think I'd be a sculptor, because that seems like the coolest form of construction, art making, creativity-ness thing. I don't know. It's just, this is so fantastic. I appreciate art. I appreciate it a lot, guys. This was a cool picture of, I think, a Roman soldier.
Looks like a king.
I don't have anything in my notes about it, so I thought it was just cool. I thought I'd share it with you. But I think it's just a generic thing. Then this is the outside of Olympia. This is kind of where... So you'll notice that there's not really a building standing anywhere in sight, but you see a lot of walls. You see a lot of bases. A lot of bases. And that is because things fall down over time. Especially if they're not kept up. Which is one of the unfortunate habits of things, that they don't last. But what are you gonna do? And as you can see, it's very interesting. Okay, I do have something in my notes about this. This is the workshop of Phidias, which is also, the reason why it stands as well as it does right now is because it was also turned into a Christian basilica in 1551 AD.
Yeah.
Thank you, the UFO answer, for a Streamlabs donation. I gotta go check out what it is that the message says. Because I didn't get that pulled up because I forgot that I had a Streamlabs. Silly me. Ha! I'm silly. But thank you for the donation. That's $2, and you said to me, na-na-na-na-na, theme music that is transitioning to in the dashboard. It takes a little bit of time. I hope you guys are entertained. $2 to say, are we really taking a history lesson from someone who doesn't know the difference between Persian and Peloponnesian Wars? No, I know the difference. I just can't remember the word because I have mental capacities that sometimes peter depending on my sleep and how hard I've been going at it for the last week, and I've been going pretty hard.
They're both V words.
Sometimes words escape me, and I replace them with other words. They both start with a P, so sue me. Did you have to cover the peen? It's art. No, well, I don't want to take that chance with YouTube, because they do stuff. Try ZBrush now that you have a Wacom tablet. Wacom. Is it Wacom or what? Wacom Assassins?
Wacom.
Okay. So this is the workshop of Phidias. This is where he did his work on the Chryselephantine cult statue of Zeus. And like I said, it was also turned into a basilica for a Christian church in the year 1 AD, where you can kind of see some of the standards for churchiness. In the
different architecture on the walls, too.
Yeah, you can actually kind of tell where it is that they added on to versus when it was just a building for Phidias. The reason why it's standing as well as it is because they repurposed it later on in the time period. Yeah, and it was actually constructed over the ruined foundation as well. So it's you can kind of see the layer where the Greek architecture stops and where the basilica begins, depending on the masonry that you see right there. And I do think I used that word right that time, Jolandar. Pretty sure.
You got it right that time. That's a good word.
Got it right that time. 10 points for me. Wait, how hard has Weebo been going at it this past week? I don't know about you guys, but the first 2 days of this week, Monday and Tuesday, and well, actually into Wednesday as well, I studied about 12 hours. Like little breaks in between, but I studied for like a solid 12 hours. So now I'm just kind of taking it easy, learning about Greece, or teaching you about Greece, even though I can't remember half of what I learned. Just kidding. We're going on a trip in my flying rocket ship. Deal with it. This coffee is helping a little bit. So here are some pictures of the actual collapsed, dilapidated temple of Zeus. You can actually see, look at those freaking column tops. Column tops. That's not a correct term, Weebo. That's not how you say that. But no, that's what they are. The things that connect the columns to the bottom and the top of whatever it is that they're connected to. Those are huge up in person. So obviously it's not going to stand for very long if it's not kept up. And also, if there are earthquakes or floods in the area, they're obviously going to take some hit points, which is kind of the way that things go back.
And Greece is known for its earthquakes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Oh, by the way, the basilica that I was talking about earlier actually was destroyed in 551 AD. It was erected before then at some point. I don't have that date. I just saw a date and I ran with it because I'm a dum-dum. It's fine, though. So this is kind of a layout of the entirety of what ancient Olympia would have looked like. It's a reconstruction, scale model type thing. You can see this is over here by the crypt. You can see where it is that I showed you in the beginning of the video stream, where it is that the arch was. There's the stadium, the treasuries that people, held their gifts to the gods in. You see the Temple of Zeus, the Hera Temple, which is, there's obviously a difference there. There's the gymnasium, the workshop is at the center, the Greek baths, the palestra. Where everyone would stay would be the Leonidalion. I think I said that right, too. Oh boy, it's been a year, man. And I haven't taken a classics class in like half a semester. Victor P, I love these chill teaching streams. I do too, that's why I like doing them. And I wish I could do them more often, but I don't go anywhere near enough as interesting as this and learn new enough interesting things as often as I would like to actually justify doing these more often. But that's what the Streamlabs are for. It's not so subtle shield right there. But anyway, so this is a little bit closer up of what it is that the main format of Olympia would look like. Now, people would venture to Olympia every 4-ish years for competition things where they would compete with Greek city-states. As I said, that's what the original Olympics were meant to do. Here's another picture of the pediments. I kind of got a bigger image of it, and then here at the bottom you can kind of see exactly what it was that it's supposed to look like, filled in by an artist reconstruction. And here's, oh, that doesn't look good. Here's a full image of more pediments just so you can kind of have an idea of exactly what everything looks like from that image. I didn't want to get anyone in the picture, and so I grabbed this one offline, I'm pretty sure. This is a recreated statue of the statue of Nike. And this is what it's intended to look like. You can kind of see, it's, like I said, fantastically done. I had to censor out the boob. The wings are beautiful in creation, especially for considering the fact that this is all stone, so it's absolutely massively heavy. The fact that they had something that lasted probably as long as it did, that makes no sense. But something that lasted for several years that they could create out of stone, they sculpted out of stone, chiseled out of a solid thing of stone. It's just, it's impressive.
But that kind of level of detail into it too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, ancient sculptors, what they had to do, because they had to kind of configure their sculpting in such a way as weight balances were offset by other weight balances on the same sculptor. So a lot of the details that you see that are added on into sculptors are actually intended to balance out certain parts of the sculpture so they don't fall down that easily. It's actually really impressive when you think about it, because those are the subtle things that you don't think about, but that artists do have to think about in this regard, just so things go right the way that they want them to. Alright, so next one. This is another recreation of the cult statue of Zeus, and this is like an actual recreation of that statue. It's not the original one. It's not a painting either. So I went ahead and I grabbed some of these from online just so I could show you guys a little bit more complete versions of what it is that I was talking about, other than decrepit, crumbling stone things in museums. Because I think that it's necessary that you get the full picture of what it is that I'm featuring here. Because I think it's impressive, obviously, but I have a passion for this. Not everyone does. So if I show you what it does look like versus what it's meant to look like, or what it would have looked like, I think that gives you a little bit more impact, at least. Continuing on. Where is this? I don't remember where this is. It's a temple, though. Look at these Corinthian columns. Aren't they just magnificent?
Beautiful fluting.
Seriously, where was this? This looks like it's in Athens, but why is... Yeah, I don't have anything in my notes about it. Observe the lovely temple. Huh?
Wrong order, maybe?
Oh shit, the Discord link is expired. Oh, we're gonna have to change that. That's fine. We're gonna have to get a new Discord link, aren't we?
I can toss one up.
Yeah, can you grab that? Here. I just sent one out. Here's the new Discord link. I just put it in the chat. Sorry. It does that from time to time. Discord just expires the link, so I'm gonna have to update it. No worries. Anyway, so this was a temple. Obviously it was important, otherwise I wouldn't have bothered with the Corinthian columns, but I digress. It was some sort of temple to something, and you can see the Parthenon in the background there. This was, at some point, I believe that's the Parthenon. Yeah, that's the Parthenon. I think that's the Parthenon.
Up on the hill, yeah, that looks
probably like the Parthenon. That looks like it's the other side of the Parthenon, though, than when I was staying. But this looks like it was an important temple, and I can't remember where it was. Oh my god. That's gonna frustrate me. The fact that I don't know where that Then this is what the Temple of Zeus would have looked like in its heyday. Kind of an artist's rendition of it. You can kind of tell based on the pediments themselves.
And the colors.
And, well, yeah, the colors. I mean, no. I know that this is the Temple of Zeus because of the pediments. So I know. Because you can basically tell temples apart mainly based on the pediments. Also, the columns look a bit different as well. Look at that massive freaking thing. Oh yeah, they also used to paint their temples because of course, you're not going to just have a white structure without all of the god that you would want. They gilded that stuff with gold, and they painted it with all of the colors of the rainbow because they could. Because they wanted to honor the gods, so of course they're going to do that. Anyway. So, we're gonna move on. Okay, so that's the complete end of day 7 in Olympia. Now we're moving on to Athens and Marathon. Oh boy. Oh boy. And I'm gonna send you a link in the stream chat to Athens and Marathon. And, huh?
Day 10, is that right?
That's day 10, yeah. And we skipped 3 days because I can't remember what we were doing in between those days. I recall that I didn't take very many pictures in those 3
That was
days.
the wine tasting days, weren't they?
They might have been. I think what we were doing was oh, I remember. I got sick. I got deathly ill for about a day and a half right before we traveled from Delphi all the way back to, Athens Marathon. So I was puking my guts out and trying not to die while everyone else was enjoying Delphi, and I miss Delphi, and I'm so salty about that. I need to go back, and I need to experience it. So anyway, this is Marathon, and for those of you who are unaware, I'm going to give you a brief, she says, because you know that Weebo is not going to be brief in any regard. But I'm going to give you kind of a brief rundown of the Battle of Marathon. So the Battle of Marathon took place in 490 BC, during the first Persian invasion of Greece. It was fought between the citizens of Athens, aided by, I'm gonna get this wrong, Phidias, and a Persian force. Its attempt by Persia under King Darius I to subjugate Greece, because obviously, when you have an empire, why stop at one Greek city-state when you can have all of the Greek city-states? Am I right, people? Of course I am. So the Greek army decisively defeated the more numerous Persian army, making a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. That's the meat and potatoes. So, effectively, the Persian-Greco Wars were a response to Athenian involvement in the Ionian Revolt, which I can't remember for the life of me what it was about. But that was when Athens and Eritrea had sent a force to... Oh, no, I can, because I wrote it down. Ha! See? I know what I'm about. I know what I'm doing. Oh, Weebo unplugged. Am I right? Well, okay,
Weebo, so smart.
I'm so smart. See, I preempted the fact that I would totally forget every single bit of this after a year, so I wrote everything down. So Athens and Eritrea had sent a force to support the cities of Ionia in their attempt to overthrow Persian rule, because that's what you do when you don't like who it is that you're underneath in terms of rule. They failed, obviously. And Darius swore to burn down Athens and Eritrea out of spite. Some dramatic reading for you there. So the Persian forces sailed to Attica, landing in the bay near the town of Marathon. The Athenians, joined by a small force of Plataea, marched to Marathon and succeeded in blocking the 2 exits from the plain of Marathon. The Athenians also sent a message asking for support to the Spartans. However, when the messenger arrived in Sparta, the Spartans were involved in a religious festival and gave this as a reason for not coming to aid the Athenians. So essentially, what they said was, screw you, we're busy drinking and having a great time partying. But, is what it is. The Athenians handled it very well, in my opinion. Miltiades, the Athenian general at the time, ordered a general attack against the Persian forces composed primarily of... I wrote missile troops, but I know that's false. I want to say...
Archers?
No.
Slingers?
No. I don't know what I meant by missile troops. Gosh. Oh, this is embarrassing.
Skirmishers of some sort?
Guys, type in chat what you think I meant by missile troops in my notes, because I have no clue. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, continuing on. Some sort of troops. Were they hoplite troops? I bet they were hoplite.
Hoplites are not missile troops at all.
No, but, sometimes autocorrect does me dirty, and I don't like it. Okay, so we're just gonna go with, maybe they were hoplites. He reinforced his flanks, lured the Persians' best fighters into his center. The inward-wheeling flanks enveloped the Persians, routing them. Okay, so essentially think about this. how do I put this? People fighting in a straight line. It's important that you're not outflanked, because then you can be surrounded. But it's also important that your center is very stable in terms of ancient warfare, because then if the opposition breaks through your center, they can outflank you from the middle and surround your troops and split your entire force in half. I don't think it was archers and slingshotters, and it certainly was not catapult.
Yeah, because I don't think the catapult wasn't really around at this point.
Yeah, no. But anyway, it's important that you're not outflanked, and it's important that you're not inflanked. I think that's a correct political term, but I have no idea. Because you don't want to be surrounded by the opposition. So that's important. So we're going to go through some of these pictures. I took some of these pictures of ancient Egyptian-looking statues to prove a point to my boy Radio 1 that Egyptian culture was very widespread across the Mediterranean, to the point where it landed in certain Aegean places. Marathon! Sorry, I digress. The point here is obviously that there were very high Egyptian influences in this part of Greece, when, according to Radio 1, that shouldn't have happened. But look at this, look at this. Look at this! Did I not make my point? I think I made my point. Look at all these Egyptian statues in a Greek museum. Aren't they interesting, people? And then I took a picture of all of this Greek stuff. I could try to read it, but I'm not going to. But the Egyptian sanctuary and the millennium at Brexeza.
I wonder if these statues were imported, because that looks more like sandstone they're using, and it's less detailed than the Greek statues have been.
Yeah, it is sandstone, I believe. I didn't get a chance to touch it, because you're not allowed to touch the things in the museums for obvious reasons, even though I really wanted to touch a lot of the things in the museums. I accidentally actually got a picture. I think I told you about this, Jolandar. In the last, stream that we did, I got a picture of dead people that I wasn't supposed to get a picture of.
Yep.
Yeah, I did tell you about that. Because there are some areas of the museums where you're not supposed to take pictures. Oh, by the way, that night we actually went to dinner at one of the fanciest restaurants that they have in Athens, I believe. And this is a picture of me, looking pretty. This is what I look like. Everybody bask in the glorious of Weebo. Don't I look pretty?
Yeah, you clean up pretty good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then this is funny face Weebo. Because we have to have... Look at that hairdo, though. Alright, I want you to understand that took me about half an hour to do. And that is several different types of braids all around my hair. And then, little tendrily things. I'm good at doing hair, people, by the way.
Very Italian.
Very Italian. I'm very, very happy with that. And there's another picture of me in the bathroom, because I love taking selfies. You should visit the catacombs, please. In Paris? Oh my god. I would love to. Dead things? Yes, please! Anyway. Okay, so this is a zoomed out picture of Marathon, or at least where the Battle of Marathon took place. That big mound right there. It's important for a reason. Can you guess what it is?
Used to be a fort or a battlement of some sort.
Anyway.
Burial mound.
Thank you, Lion Patriot. Lion Patriot got it. It's a burial mound of, I think, all 190-something soldiers that died at the Battle of Marathon that were in the Greek side, or it was the Persians. I can't remember which side.
That could have been either.
It really could have been either. But essentially, they just put everyone in a mound and left it there. And that's what's left. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's not the original burial mound. I remember my professor distinctively telling us that at one point it was dug up by archaeologists back in when archaeology was
in its infancy.
In its infancy, and people didn't understand that you're not supposed to take historical things and destroy them for the sake of treasure hunting. Anyway, this is actually also kind of a recreation in a sense that everything that was dug up was put back in place and just kind of left there to mound again. So this is not the original mound in the truest sense of the form. Although it is, but it isn't. If that makes any sense. And this is a picture of it from where I was standing. Obviously, I don't have a really good camera. I'm using my iPhone for all of these pictures, by the way. That's another investment that I need to make. I need to get myself a decent camera. So for my next trip, I don't have to worry about taking all of the pictures from my phone. But yeah, that's the mound from the ground. And as you can see, it's not too impressive. I think it was more impressive back in the day before it was destroyed the first time. So yeah, that's the mound.
I still maintain it's a good defensive position.
It's probably a very good defensive position, because I don't think a lot of people like walking on the graves of other people. Mnemonic Autist says, Weebo is worse than Logan Paul confirmed. I'm not! I didn't do anything! I didn't touch all of the things, okay? So how am I worse? Alright, so that's the end of that day. We're gonna go on to day 11. This is purely the tourist day. I'm gonna send you a link to that one as well.
She barely desecrated any graves.
I didn't desecrate a single grave, alright? I want you to know that. I just took a picture of a grave I wasn't supposed to. And I didn't realize until after I took the picture that I wasn't supposed to take the picture, because no one said anything to me until after I took the picture. Anyway, so this is day 11, Mykonos, and we start off with a lovely selfie of yours truly. Now, Mykonos is not historically significant in any capacity to ancient classics, people who are interested in the classics. It's mostly just a tourist location. So if you see a picture of Greece that's got the white buildings with the blue tops, that's this place completely. I'm also illiterate. Oh, apparently I'm illiterate. Did I get your name wrong?
No, you just couldn't read the thing saying not to take pictures of the sacred dead.
No, because I did get his name wrong. I said mnemonic autist instead of pneumatic autist. Fuck! I can't read. Yeah, I can't read. I'm illiterate. It's fine. I actually couldn't read until 3rd grade, by the way. I want you all to know that. I couldn't read until 3rd grade. It's fine. I'm not upset about it. Except that I'm a little bit upset about it. So anyway, day 11. This is a 14-day trip, I want you all to know. And this is at the point where we are on the cruise and we're going from island to island to island and stuff. And every night on this cruise was a party. Because that's what cruises are. Parties. Especially, even the ones where they're just... I'm sorry, pneumatic autist. I really am. I apologize. But... each night on the cruise was a very interesting time. We had karaoke every night. We had shuffleboard. It was a hoot. It was a hoot and a half. We also had pools on the cruise. And oh, I remember so my professor, and I think I told the story already before, but my professor said, now, the school is not going to pay for any alcohol on this trip. You are not going to get any school-funded alcohol. We get to Greece, and the very first meal that we have together as a class, we're going to a restaurant, and there's complimentary wine. There's white and there's red. And they just put on the table enough for everyone to have at least 2 glasses. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is probably just because it's the first day. No, it was every single night that this was the case. But not only
every meal.
Every single meal except for breakfast. And lunch, because we had to buy our own lunches, and we were usually traveling around seeing things. But, so, our professor told us specifically, he said, the school is not paying for alcohol at all. But we get complimentary wine with every dinner. In addition to that, we went out of our way on the bus to drive to a winery to experience that. So, we did get free wine in that capacity too, like a free wine tasting, at least. I don't know, maybe it was complimentary in terms of like the winery actually gave it to us, but I doubt they gave us a free wine tasting. I think it was paid for. I think it was part of the experience. I definitely think that. But in addition to that, on the cruise, we got the silver drink package, which is not as good as the gold drink package, but it's still pretty fun, because you get a very wide selection of alcohol beverages, all you can drink. So it was a good time on the cruise every night. And no one got sent home for being too intoxicated or too drunk or whatever, because they do have their limitations. There are certain things you're not allowed to do on these school trips, like maybe go to a brothel. You're not allowed to do that, because if you come back with an STD from a foreign country, it's a big problem, I guess. It's an issue, I think. The other thing that you're not allowed to do is get arrested, because no one's going to bail you out. Your parents are going to have to bail you out. The rest of your trip is not refundable. So don't get arrested. Don't go to a brothel. Don't become too belligerent. I think there was a trip, one of the Paris trips that my professor has been on, actually. She said that a few kids in Paris, actually, a few of the girls went to bars every night or whatever. And they would kind of con men into buying them drinks and then leave. And then leave the guys hanging with the bill. Which is just kind of despicable to me, because you're giving a very bad impression of tourists in that regard. And as someone who loves touristing, I guess you could kind of call it that. Traveling. I like traveling. That presents a problem. For me, at least. Because that makes my aspirations a little bit more difficult. But anyway, back to what it is that we're talking about. Mykonos is midway through the portion of the trip where we're on the cruise. I think it might be one of the first days or so. And, so this is like the first couple of days of the cruise. We get on the cruise ship, and you know how they make the little towel sculptures? They leave them for you? Well, I appreciate that. I think that's the cutest thing ever, and so I took pictures of them. You're gonna see why it is that I am a fool for appreciating towel sculptures in a few minutes, because I have another story to tell you guys about the trip. But obviously on the cruise part of this ship, the first day, we are intended to be doing the drills, because after the Titanic, sinking, people dying on cruise ships is frowned upon. And it impacted people significantly. So they gave us life jackets, and we're doing the drill thing, and I look like an adorable, fluffy orange marshmallow for several minutes. There are more of these pictures, by the way. I took 3. Look at that. I took 3. I took 3 pictures of me in my life jacket, because I want you guys to appreciate how cute I look in orange.
You look so pleased.
I am! Look at that! I'm so happy! I'm on a cruise ship! What's there to complain about? Of course I'm gonna smile! I am pleased to be on a cruise ship, touring the islands in the Aegean, and all with the intent to learn a thing or two about ancient life. This is a dream come true for you, girl Weebo, alright? I love this stuff. I live for it. Oh, God, I preempted this entire stream with talking about how I love to travel. I don't think you understand how much I love to travel. It's a problem, actually. It's an addiction.
A weed mellow.
A weed mellow. Okay, can someone please superimpose my face onto a marshmallow? Because I want to kind of put that on a t-shirt. I think that would be hilarious. So this is a map of the city of Mykonos. And like I said, it's an island town. This is where the port is where we get dropped off, and then the rest of the town we're just kind of meandering about. Not really doing much except for touristing. Really, we're not learning anything. We're just kind of enjoying the scenery, buying things, and admiring the view, because it is actually rather gorgeous. Look at that. Look at that beautiful, just not a city, but it's a town with just, white construction, blue roofs, and you get to meander through that and walk up the cobblestone ways and just kind of enjoy life. It's really magical.
Must have a city ordinance against advertising, because I don't see a lot of advertisement.
Oh god, no, it's obviously... Okay, so it's one of the biggest tourist locations in Greece, I'm pretty sure. The reason being is because, obviously, look at that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful looking. People go there to visit because of the what am I saying?
The aesthetic of it.
The aesthetic, thank you. The aesthetic of the town, because it is a certain way, and they've mandated it as such. So this is another view from the side. You can kind of see the water. The water's pretty clear, actually. I really enjoyed swimming in it. You don't swim in it too much, though, because it is a little bit chilly. Even though you're in the Aegean and it's summer, it's a little bit chilly. But this is nice pictures from, the side, from the port. This is a purple tree that I took a picture of because I like trees, and I thought it was pretty, so I took a picture of it. Sue me.
It is quite nice.
Mm-hmm. And then we go...
Nice sunset.
Yes, it is very nice sunset. I love sunsets. I don't know. My family has this tradition where if we're going on vacation somewhere different from our regular place, we make a point of venturing out at sunset every single day to where it is that, you have the clearest view of the sun setting. Just to watch it. Just to watch it. Because it's in that moment when you're just kind of reveling in the events of the day or the week, and you just kind of get to de-stress and relax. And I don't know who started it or why, really. It's a thing that my entire family does with each other. But it's one of those things that my family does. And, you gotta take a moment to appreciate the beauty of our world. Because there is beauty in the world. Yeah, so it has its failings. I'm not gonna deny you that. But things like this, if you don't stop for a minute to smell the roses and enjoy life, what are you doing with your life? Like, you must not have a good outlook or good perspective or a good way of just being to the point where you can't sit here and enjoy how beautiful this scenery is. And I really do wish I had a better camera, because if I could get this in like an HD, just think how much cooler these streams would be if the pictures were in that fantastic quality. Oh.
This one's not bad at all.
No, it's not bad. I'm actually surprised that I got as good a picture as I did with an iPhone. Assassins of the Great. I like trees also. They stop bullets very well. Well, that's not exactly why I take pictures of trees. I just think that they're beautiful. And I appreciate a nice looking tree. Uncle Jeezy, I don't know. Greece always strikes me as the Detroit of Europe. I mean, it's not. When I went to Athens, I will not deny you this. Athens is kind of crappy looking. Reason being is because when they had their economic crisis and they had a whole bunch of riots everywhere, people went kind of nuts with the graffiti. And also, they put a whole bunch of metal, not blinds, but, what are they?
Kind of like hurricane shutters.
Hurricane kind of shutter things, just to kind of keep out rioting, or rioters, just to kind of protect the inside of their houses. And so it kind of looks like what people would imagine Detroit looks like, I guess. I've never been to Detroit, so I don't actually have like a first-hand account of it, but I know that it doesn't look the way that a lot of the other tourist locations of Greece looks. There's a reason for that, because it is one of the bigger cities in Greece, and obviously it has had its ups and downs. I mean, most big cities have their ups and downs too. I'm not denying that, but that would be the reason for that. There are beautiful portions of Greece, don't get me wrong. I think, yeah, in the first part of this stream show parter thing, the first Greece stream that I did, we actually visited several locations, so Cape Sunon, Corinth, not Athens, because I already talked about Athens and how it doesn't look pretty. The Attic countryside, they're all gorgeous places. You just have to find the right place to enjoy the scenery. Certainly Delphi looks gorgeous as well. Although, I didn't exactly get a chance to look around because I was dying and sick. Alright, so this is more of that lovely town area that I'm showing you. And as you can see, everything is white. I'm pretty sure.
And in English, too.
That too. Club Lounge. It is in English, and the reason because it's a primary tourist location, right? It's where people go to spend their money when they should be spending them at museums. I'm not a tourist supremacist, but I am. Alright? I believe that tourism should be indicative of learning things about places that you've never been, not about shopping and getting places and trinkets from places you've never been, although it is a bonus. I do like trinkets. I like trinkets a lot. I have several trinkets.
Yeah, we've seen your trinkets. They're not YouTube friendly.
They're not YouTube friendly. We're not going to discuss it. That's it. So there's another picture of the sunset. You got nice boats. I'd like a sailboat someday. Loki. I'd like a sailboat a lot. Pneumatic Autist says, probably because white doesn't fade under the sun. Yeah, that's probably why. And it is very sunny in Greece. Oh my god, I didn't know that it was so, dry and, not deserty, but it was very dry and hot when I went to Greece. And that's probably because it was very dry and hot. But also, that was the summer that they had all of the fires across Greece. So...
It was a very dry summer.
This was just before then, actually. I got out of Greece right before they started having problems in that respect. So we got more scenery, more of the lovely pictures. There's nothing really intellectual that I can say about this area more than it just looks pretty, and I like it, and I like the aesthetic. And that's the end of that one. And now we go to day 12.
They probably also go with white because it's reminiscent of like marble, and people think marble and they think Greece.
Yeah, they probably do. So this is day 12, Kusandais and Ephesus and Patmos. And this is one of the more fun days, because we start out across the Aegean in Turkey, actually, at like 8 in the morning. We leave the boat, and we get off the boat, and we go to Ephesus. Now, Ephesus was a Greek area back in the day, but it's now part of Turkey. We're gonna get into it. So Ephesus, 10th century BC, is a site of former Arzawan capital, so by the Attic and Ionian Greek colonists. So when I say it's a part of Greece, it's part of Greece in the sense that the Greeks had a tendency to colonialize. Not in the sense that the English did, obviously, and certainly not in the sense that any of the other colonialist empires that you're thinking of did. They just kind of went where they would to settle people in places because they could. And also, it's really good for economics back home, because if you're sending things back from out of the nation, you're getting some sort of overseas income, and if your population...
Same reason English did.
Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. There are economic benefits to colonialism. It's not inherently a bad thing, necessarily. It's just frowned upon sometime. It's frowned upon nowadays, actually. Pretty hard. That's because people don't like the implications that come with colonializing certain places. Because you're going to a different place, and you're being like, I'm gonna have that. That's mine now. It's mine now. That's mine now. And if you're taking land from people who've already settled there, it has not good implications. I don't know if you're aware of this, but stealing from people is bad. Sometimes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so Ephesus itself is gorgeous, and I probably could have learned a lot about it, but here's the thing. The tourist guide that we had for Ephesus was horrible. Horrible. So, I'm sitting there listening to the little, like, audio devices that they have that kind of syncs up her voice to all of us, where she's talking at us, and she's kind of... It's like you have a walkie-talkie or something, and it's just a one-way walkie-talkie. So all you can do is listen to the original walkie-talkie, which has a microphone. So you have headphones, and you have a little walkie-talkie thing, and you're listening to the tourist guide talk about Ephesus. But off to, like, my left, my professor is scoffing at everything that she's saying, because she's getting a lot of the things completely wrong according to the literature. And she's employed by the country of Turkey, the Republic of Turkey, I believe it's called now, to give these presentations. And if you know anything about Greek-Turkish relationships and the way that archaeology and historical sites are handled in that sense, they're a source of nationalistic pride. And so different nations have different emphases on certain historical things. And in some cases, they just kind of make things up entirely. So a lot of what happened at Ephesus, a lot of the importance of Ephesus kind of just didn't go through my head, because this lady, one, a lot of what I could tell that she was saying didn't make a lot of sense. And two, she wasn't articulating it very well. she was not a good tour guide, I'll say that. Compared to our previous tour guide, who'd been taking us all around Greece and giving us like the 411. He had graphics on a tablet that he would share with us, and he'd go through them, and he'd be like, this is this. And he was also a very educated man. I think he had a master's in classical archaeology or something. I can't remember exactly, but he was very, very knowledgeable about what he was saying. You could tell this girl was just reading off a script, and she was not reading it very well. But I digress. So this is kind of an expanded version of the plan of Ephesus. There are different areas. We walked through the entire thing of it. As you can see, it's very expansive, a colony. It's got a lot of things. It's got a lot of things. We're gonna see pictures of it. Oh, by the way, this is a meme someone made of me. I put that in there because I appreciate when you guys make me into a meme. And that's that. So this is Kusadai. I'm gonna get this completely wrong. Kusadasi. This is the port, Kusadasi, where it is that we got off in terms of and went to Ephesus. From here we got on a bus and then we went to Ephesus. And that was a little bit of a trip. So when we get to Ephesus, they have a whole bunch of vendors outside the actual site, and I saw this pic. I took this picture for a very obvious reason. I want you to know that. And that reason being because they were selling genuine fake watches. And if you guys have ever seen an episode of SideQuest, actually, too, I got the background for what it is that I use in SideQuest as a thief. I got that from Ephesus. I actually purchased a tablecloth because I was looking for anything, because I knew I was going to be on the side quest. I was looking for anything that I could use as like a backdrop, but something that was more portable, so because I knew I'd be traveling a lot. Something that was more portable that I could use to kind of give the impression that I was in medieval Renaissance times. And that kind of brought me a little bit close. It looks interesting. It looks mythical. It looks
pretty good.
I think it serves a good purpose, and you know.
I do like the fact that this guy's honest about his theory of.
I thought it was hilarious. I took a picture of it. Some of the quotes that you guys are picking up on from me while I'm speaking is hilarious. Assassin of the Grey. The Greek did a better job on Greek history than a Turk is the point. Well, yeah, obviously that is the point. There's disagreement in the archaeological community, and not a lot of it has to actually do with actual scholarship. A lot of it has to do with national pride. Hello, person from Japan. I can't read your name, unfortunately. I don't know how to read Japanese characters. I'm pretty sure those are Japanese characters. Anyway, so, on from the genuine fake watches. This is kind of part of the site of Ephesus. Nothing really interesting about that. It's just the ruins of the colony that was Ephesus at the time. You can kind of see some interesting. There's some architecture here. Look at that masonry. Oh yeah, that's built to last. You can kind of see that. Oh, look at that. Close up. The arches are beautiful. They look like camelbacks. Look at that. And you can tell that they're actually multi-story level type. Oh, there's the music. It started again. Does it always do that? Like where it takes forever? Whatever. But you can tell that these are multi-storied establishments, dwellings, I guess you could say, where people sometimes people stack buildings on top of other buildings and they call them floors.
Sure, makes good foundation. It's already built and lasted.
Exactly. Why would you have to build another foundation when you just add a layer to the last foundation? Sometimes people add buildings to other buildings, and then they call them floors. Someone quote me. I don't know why I find that so enjoyable, but I have some golden nugget one-liners. So, in my last presentation, the one I gave about the first 6 days where I was in Greece, we talked about the theaters. This is one of those famous Greek theaters. You could sit a lot of people in there, at least 12, if not 15. And it was where they would put on plays. Like Euripides, they put on all of his plays there. Eurystia, if they were feeling a little bit dangerous. sometimes tragedies, sometimes comedies. It really depended on the mood of the people, but they'd do it, and it would entertain the masses. This is where your movies come from, people. Enjoy.
And we still use that same style.
Actually, we do. The theater, the way that this theater is constructed is actually something that is used nowadays as well. I mean, we adjust it, obviously, accordingly, depending on, for the purposes of what it is that we're doing, but the basis for the theater is still there. But if you're wondering where movies come from, they're distant grandchildren of what it is you're seeing right here. I'm seeing the quotes in the chat. The UFO answer, quote, colonizing is always bad. It involves murder, enslavement, subjugation, and elimination of a culture. How is that ever good? I'm talking about... okay, so... I think you missed the point of what I was talking about. Doesn't always necessarily. That's more of a modern interpretation of it based off of 18th... or not 17th... 16th? 15th century? Which century?
I think he was responding to Uncle Jeezy, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, colonization wasn't always great for the colonized. I'm just gonna point that out right there. It depends on the time period, the people, and the area. Because there was colonization in the past. I mean, it's not always fantastic for everyone. Of course, changes in the makeup of a culture aren't always 100% great, but that can be said about any change in any capacity. You know, the American Revolution wasn't good for some Americans that were living in America at the time, for some colonists in America. But I digress. We're splitting hairs here. Not splitting hairs, but we're doing a thing.
We're meandering from the topic.
We're meandering. I am doing my shiny object Weebo thing. So this is more of Ephesus, and I believe there in the distance is the Library of Ephesus, which I thought was pretty cool. This is the only thing that I remember retaining. That I retained from my trip to Ephesus. But we're going to get to that in a hot second, because there are a few other things that are important, and that is, look at the freaking amount of people here. This is a lot more people than I'm used to seeing on these kind of things, and that is because Ephesus is a bigger tourist location, kind of like the Parthenon is for Greece. Because you don't see a lot of people at the Temple of Poseidon because it's out of people's way to go to just a random temple in the middle of the Greek countryside. Same thing with when we went to, you know, take your pantsy. Take your pantsy?
Wow.
What did I just say?
I don't know. What were you trying to say?
I was trying to say take your fancy. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? I need more of this.
What kind of coffee are you drinking?
The delicious kind. Alright, so what I do with my coffee when I get it is, I make it in the morning, and then I shut off the coffee maker, and I leave it until it's out, and that could be several days or not. But I made a fresh pot of coffee this morning, and then I turned it off, and I had 1 cup in the morning, and then I had 1 cup when I got back from class, and that's this cup. And what I do with the coffee is I put some honey in it, and then I put some white chocolate, hot chocolate in there, just to kind of give it a little bit of flavor, and then some hazelnut creamer to give it extra flavor, because I like both of those things, and I like the way that they taste. And I know what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get a lot of people in the chat telling me that I actually don't like coffee, but you know what? I think that you're just coffee supremacists, and I think you need to expand your horizons.
I'm not going to say anything now. But I will say you did get a smile of that nice lady in the front.
I did? Oh, yeah, she looks adorable. Mm-hmm. That was a really hot date, though. I remember that. There were so many people. Anyway, so Ephesus was crowded. Crowded as all heck. And then I took a picture of this because look at the freaking tiles there on the ground, right?
It almost looks like carpet. So their tiles are so small.
Well, there's a reason for that, and that's because all of the things, anything that you see as a different pattern is like an individual little tile, just placed so intricately to create such a delightful design. All of that, they're like tiles about that big. And they're all just placed in accordance with how the architect wanted there to be a design. So I took a picture of it because I was freaking impressed, man. That takes a lot of commitment. That takes a lot of time. You know how many people were probably involved in that? The coordination effort, especially in ancient times? I mean, we can do that, no problem nowadays, but this, back in that
Mosaics are amazing.
Oh, fantastic. And yes, you're right. Mosaics are amazing. I appreciate art. Alright, I appreciate it. Why can't we go back to that?
Because we don't build things that last for 500 years anymore.
Yeah, that sucks. And you can
But we also build things to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm. We do. But we don't build things to last. That is the greatest shame of modern day culture, is that things aren't built to, one, last, two, be fixable by the individuals that purchase them themselves. Like, okay, we're gonna get on a side tangent because Weebo has seen a shiny object and wishes to discuss it. Okay? Nowadays, if I break something, like my MacBook, alright? If I break that, I can't fix it myself. You know why that sucks? Because I have to take it all the way to the Apple store, get it fixed by one of the Apple people, and then have them charge me an arm and a leg to fix my computer that probably I could have fixed if I really, really wanted to for like maybe $50. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is the biggest crime of all, right? Because Apple Store products come with an agreement that you will take the Apple product to the Apple Genius Bar to get it fixed by the Apple people who are qualified to fix it. If you don't do that and you don't get it fixed with Apple specific products by Apple for Apple users, what they can do is they can sense that and then they can shut down your hardware. Even though you bought this, even though you own this, the software agreement comes with the implication that you are actually getting Apple hardware fixed by Apple people. If you fix it yourself, you are violating that agreement and they can shut you down. And that is purposeful sabotage, and I don't like it.
And that's why you don't get Mac products. You have LSP waiting in the waiting room.
Okay, I'll bring it Lispy on. Hi, Lispy. Okay, so the reason why I have an Apple product, I just want to specify, the reason why I have an Apple product was it was a gift from my father my junior year of high school, and I didn't really have a choice in the matter. It was a surprise gift for Christmas, all right? And I'm not going to complain because, you know, who's going to complain about a free computer? And it served its purpose perfectly well for right now. I'll upgrade at some point to something a lot better, obviously, but for right now, it writes my essays for me, all right?
Okay, fair enough. You can't argue with free.
Alright, shiny object moment over. Yeah, I'm not gonna buy Apple, I promise you. I built my own PC specifically because I didn't want to have to buy another Apple product. But I digress. So we're moving on from the mosaic. You can actually see kind of here where it is that they constructed, the Turks, where they constructed some, I don't know how you would put this. They're intended to protect the architecture of more fragile portions of the ancient sites, so they can
supports.
Not supports, because they're not supporting them. They're just keeping them out of the weather. What is it called?
Cover.
I guess you could call them cover, but we're not allowed to actually go in, so they're just kind of like temporary bases of operation for the archaeologists and restoration people. Hi, Lispy. Oh. Lispy.
Yeah, he's having some problems.
Lispy, can you hear me?
I have no clue what's up with my thing.
Oh, no, you're fine. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
What if he's having the same problem I did?
Well, no, but the difference was I couldn't hear you. You could hear me, right?
No, I couldn't hear you at all because I had to change my audio driver in Discord.
Oh, alright. Well, sometimes things happen. And they are unfortunate things. So yeah, that's what that was. I didn't really get a chance to ask a question about that. I just know that it was there and it was an eyesore. Because it was out of place and I didn't like it. Because it wasn't part of the original construction. Sorry, I'm a bit of a archaeological supremacist, I guess you could say. I'm an archaeological conservative. So this was, I believe, a temple at one point. I can't remember which temple, but you can see from the Corinthian columns that it was an impressive temple at one point. A small one, but an impressive one.
I like how they use marble facades to make it all out of marble, probably because they didn't have a lot of marble in that area.
You can actually see the difference where, okay, so up in that left corner, you can actually see the difference where it is that they've reconstructed things and they've taken what wasn't the original, they've taken inspiration from what was the original and kind of made placeholders for the stone that's, you know, lost its test of time. You can actually see the difference in columns, in masonry and sculpture work, where they've had to kind of improve certain aspects. Restore in that sense. And that's always an interesting debate to have with archaeologists and conservationists, is what parts do you restore versus what parts don't you restore. And we're going to have a actually really cool discussion about that when we get to Herculean and Knossos, because it was really cool when I went there. And that's day 14. That's immediately after this. So, moving on. These are the toilets, and I have a funny story about the toilets. Are you having trouble? Liberty, Sanity, Project? Can you hear me?
He's still having problems.
Oof. Because we can hear you, I just can't hear... He just can't hear us. So, these are the toilets, and, I almost fell into the toilets. You see where there's a little bit of an air... Okay, so people would sit on these little keyhole-looking things back in the ancient days, and they do their business, and they wipe off with, like, a sponge on a stick or whatever. Then they go their merry way. But these are communal toilets, and they didn't have, like, partitions between them, so they're stalls, essentially, without the stalls.
Sure.
But you see over there in the corner, where on the right side, where there's no keyhole toilet sitting thing?
Yeah.
I wanted to look over because I wanted to see what was on the other side, and so I'm kind of like, I'm looking over, I'm looking, and then I almost freaking fall into the sewage area of where the toilets are in Ephesus. So your girl Weebo almost got lost in the sewage system of Ephesus. I almost fell into a toilet. Not my proudest moment.
Hi, Weebo.
Hi, Lispy. Are you having trouble still, or are you...
No, I fixed all my problems. How are you?
Good. I'm just gonna turn you down because you sound extremely loud.
You can't turn me down.
Yes, I can. Alright,
okay, you can turn me down.
Alright, I turned you down. We're talking about my trip to Greece. Are you having fun? There's a link to the actual pictures.
I see you're posting pictures.
Yeah, there's a slideshow in the stream chat. The last one is for Kudesai and Ephesus and Patmos, so that's what we're on
See
right now.
bikini pic, but like you cut it off.
It's... I don't think it's a bikini pic. Anyway, so I almost fell in the toilets, and that was fun. People laughed. It was a great time. So now we get to the lovely library of Ephesus, which I had a lot to say about because it's actually pretty interesting, because ancient libraries are kind of something that I like. It's a topic of conversation that impresses me. So I had some writings that I put down in my notes. The Ephesus Library of Celsus. The Library of Celsus is an ancient Roman building built in honor of the Roman senator Tiberius Julius Celsus Polemon. These freaking Roman emperors and their names. It's around 114 to 117 AD that I think it was constructed, and it was built to store 12,000 scrolls, which is that's a lot of scrolls if you weren't aware. So it serves as a mausoleum to Celsus, who's buried in a crypt beneath the library, and a decorated marble sarcophagus, because those aren't unique to just Egypt. They are a thing that is everywhere.
Are you still in Greece?
Am I still in Greece?
Yeah, when were these taken?
These were taken like a year ago.
Oh, I remember this trip. You went to go visit your Greece boyfriend or something.
No, I went on an academic trip. My boyfriend lives in the U.S.
I thought this was about your boyfriend or something.
No, this is about my trip to Greece, but I didn't go to Greece to see my boyfriend. He lives in the United States.
She'd already imported him by that point.
He's been here since he was born. He just has dual citizenship.
Are you committing white genocide with him?
We haven't had any children, so technically no.
But I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for the white genocide, Weebo.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll go on.
This stream has a point, Lispy.
I just stumbled in. I saw you guys were on, so I just thought I'd go in the waiting room. Yeah, I'll look it out if you...
No, you're fine. You can talk if you want, just if you have anything to add. But we do have half an hour left, and I do have to get through the most impressive part of this, which is when we went to Knossos, which... I like how we're ending the trip with the most ancient of sites that you could possibly go to, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so okay. So the Library of Celsus is the third largest ancient library in the ancient world, behind the Library of Alexandria and the Pergamon. I think I said that right, which is in Turkey. So we all know where the Library of Alexandria was. It was in Egypt, and it burned down, and it no longer exists. But it was impressive for its time, and it's this one right here, third largest in the ancient world. So, whew, boy, you know how I feel about libraries. Weebo is not a human smuggler. I resent that. But let's keep going. This is a closer picture of said library, and you can look at that freaking thing. That's impressive. That's double-storied at least. I think I have a picture. No, I don't have it. Maybe I do have a picture of it later on, where we actually get an artist recreationing of it. But this is a picture of the scenery of Ephesus as well, because look at that. That's a mountain with some nice blue skies. You don't see how impressive that is. Not impressive, but just beautiful. You ain't enjoying life correctly. Some more scenery pics, because I am a scenery girl type person. This is a picture of the Agora of Ephesus, which an agora is basically like an outdoor marketplace, akin to a forum in Roman ancient history, but it's kind of like where people would go to congregate just in everyday life, like a marketplace, kind of, but not quite.
Common.
The way that my Greek professor described it to us was, it's like a marketplace, but it's not actually a marketplace in the same sense that you would think a marketplace is. The translation is kind of sketchy, because there's no real direct way to actually say this is what this was. I could go into my Greek textbook and look it up for you, but it wouldn't be correct. It would just be the closest thing that we could get it to. So this is a better picture of the Agora. Like I said, this is where people would congregate. Then this is another picture of that theater, of a different theater actually. This is the theater of Ephesus, and is capable of holding about 25,000 spectators, which is a lot of people. In case you weren't aware, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, especially in ancient times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is more pictures, and I blurred out that person's face because you don't need to know who these people are. But this is a nice picture. Look at that. That's a lot of stepping.
Yeah, it is.
That's a big theater. That's a more distant shot of it. They're built basically into the sides of hills, because that was like the only way that you could actually get that architecture to stand. The reason why these are actually so sustained for being several thousands of years old is because they were built into the hills. So they have a nice base. They're not going to fall down anytime soon because they have a base. All you have to do is put some steps. And of course, obviously, stairs are more stable. Stairs are more stable architectural things than, say, like just a straight wall, because they have something to rest against.
They also used to use like the natural features. They would find kind of a curved, somewhat area like that to build into.
That too, yes, precisely. So this next picture is a picture of just some random sarcophagi that I saw that I wanted to take a picture of because I was proving a point at the time. I was thinking of you, Radio 1, not that you're listening, but I was thinking of you. But regardless.
Were those removed, or were they out there originally? I
don't know. I didn't get close enough to actually see anything, and the lady didn't say anything about it, and I couldn't ask her because she was busy with her thing. And, I don't think a lot of what she's saying rang true, especially not according to what my professor was mumbling about in the background. He was just not happy with her at all. Oh my god. It was actually more entertaining to listen to my professor complain about her inaccuracies than actually listen to her inaccuracies themselves. Because he's a scholar of ancient Greece. Like, that's his life. ancient Greece and Rome, the classics themselves. He is dedicated his entire life to this study of the classics. She's probably just doing this for the summer, or just because it's a good job. But yeah. There's more sarcophagi. Okay, so, you gotta understand, Turkey is famous for their rug making. So we went to a rug making place at 10 in the morning, and they really wanted to sell us rugs, because we had an entire demonstration dedicated to being sold rugs. And so, at 10 in the morning, we're sitting there, and they're bringing out glasses of wine for us to drink, and hard cider for us to drink at 10 in the morning, because they want us to buy rugs. So this rug place is getting us intoxicated, and then selling us these very, very soft, very beautifully woven, I will admit, they were gorgeous rugs at 10 in the morning by getting us drunk. So, I didn't buy a rug, by the way. I did not buy a rug, but I felt a lot of rugs that day.
I own that rug in the foreground.
The foreground?
Or at least the very, very similar rug. I mean, it looks identical to ones in my living room.
Yeah. Well, that's because...
The designs used all over the place.
Yeah, the designs are pretty similar across the board for some reason. The picture, the camera itself doesn't do these rugs justice, because the color is, like, super vivid for these. I can't... For whatever reason...
I like that prayer rug.
Which one?
Little blue, the prayer rug right there. I like that.
They were really impressive, and the colors were, like I said, very vivid, and my camera does not do them justice at all, which is why I really need a new camera. I need an actual camera, not a phone, a camera, like a camera. That's gonna be my next big purchase, though. All right.
The hell is that thing?
So, funny story. So you know how I said that I had a story involving one of those fancy animal blanket towel things that they put in your rooms? Well, so I get back from Ephesus, it's 12 in the morning, and I'm kind of intoxicated. And I'm the first one in the room, and it's pitch black. And imagine it's pitch black, and you stumble into that, and you're half drunk at 12 in the morning. What do you think happens?
You beat it with a stick.
No, I screamed freaking loudly. And this is on the cruise ship, and there are people on either side of us, and they come out, and they're like, what's going on? And I'm holding my heart, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, look at the freaking monkey in my room. It freaks me out. And I was having a heart attack, and everyone's laughing at me. And so I snapped this picture because I want to remember that this moment happened. Because look at that. That's actually really impressive. That's a nice...
It is, and slightly scary.
It's terrifying. And it's even more terrifying when you're drunk at 10 in the morning and it's pitch black and you run into that. But that was how my day in Ephesus kind of began, essentially. Because this is like noon now. Oh, by the way, I love it when you guys send me memes. I love it so much.
Wow.
There's a picture of Weebo Godzilla.
Zilla.
Weebozilla! This is another fantastic image of Weebzilla.
That one's really good, actually.
It is really good, and it uses a really good face. I do not have a booger. I resent that. The fact that that's a thing that happens now in my chat every single time I'm in a stream. Every time. Weebo, you have a booger. I do not have a booger. Anyway, so this is the Grotto of the Apocalypse, or at least this is like before. No. Yes, this is okay. Yes, this is the Grotto of the Apocalypse. The Grotto of the Apocalypse is kind of one of those landmark locations that you go to if you are a Catholic/Christian person, practicing, Orthodox, all that jazz. And it's important because St. John, I wrote it in my notes, so we're going to consult Weebo's notes for this. St. John the theologian, commonly identified with the Apostle John, was exiled at Patmos. This is in Patmos, by the way. This is after Ephesus. around 95 AD, and received revelations from God by means of a voice from a cleft in the rock, which you will not get to see because they don't let you take pictures past that point right there. So inside the small grotto, I'll just kind of paint a picture for you. You can see the nightly resting place of John's head, fenced off and outlined in beaten silver. It's basically just a cave with, archaic looking, there's a whole bunch of candles. You can light a candle in there, you know, set fire to the inside of a cave, do what you will. There's some gold, ornaments, ornaments. There's like wooden pews and stuff. If I remember correctly, there's some art in there too. Just all of the things that you would go into, maybe not a cathedral, but like a church and enjoy. As well as, you know, the certain aspects that make this significant. So it's kind of important because this is where Saint John, yeah, the theologian, got his revelations about revelations, which is, I believe, the part of the Bible that talks about the end of days. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a theologian, so I'm not 100% sure.
It is.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
So this is the Grotto of the Apocalypse, appropriately named for the end of days revelations.
They need to fire whoever did the whitewashing.
Huh?
Whoever did the whitewashing the walls, they need to fire them. There's all sorts of drips there. It's bad.
You know, I'm not gonna complain. It's not my grotto, not my apocalypse. This is a wonderful picture that I took from the monastery. You just kind of see the area of Patmos. You know, the kind of the port town area. Look at that. That's just, that scenery though.
That is a really nice view.
That's why I took a picture of it. I could be a photographer. You know, I think I might want to do that. Screw this computer science nonsense. I don't need it. Just kidding, Dad. I need it. So this is the inside of St. John's Monastery. And they don't let you take pictures inside the actual place where people worship. So I'm sorry. I cannot show you pictures of that. Just know that it's really gilded to the high heavens. So in 1088, that is AD, the Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos gave the island of Patmos to the soldier priest John. Oh God, I'm gonna have a heckin' of a time pronouncing this name. Christolus. And
Christolus?
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. 40 monks reside there, give or take. And the monastery has the skull of St. Thomas the Apostle, who is important for reasons that I don't know. Yeah. I'm not super theological in my studies. Most of it's just, I really like mythology. I know mythology back in my head. Swear to God.
It's a lot more interesting than biblical.
Yeah, I tried, like the second book of the Bible I couldn't get through because it's just like a whole bunch of genealogy, and I'm like, this is what people find interesting? Like,
I don't think many people do.
I don't think so either. I'll spark notes that, thank you very much. Which I get it, it's not the most respectful way to go about doing things, but I got a limited amount of time, and I don't care to learn genealogy of people that I will never meet. So this is another image of the monastery itself. This is another picture of the monastery itself from the top, a higher level. We're about to get to one of my favorite images, I believe, which is this. And I took a panorama of my view from St. John's Monastery at the top. And look at that. That's just the gradient of the sky, the outline of the islands, the way that they fade off into the distance, just so casually, as if, you know, oh, you can't see us anymore, bye. Oh, you can actually see in the distance where it is that our cruise ship is. Because remember, we're island hopping at this point.
Sure. Your cruise ship isn't the one kind of in the mid ground?
Mm-hmm.
That is? Okay.
It's right there. What do you mean trademark symbols? There's no trademark symbols. Are there trademark symbols? Why would there be trademark symbols?
Registered trademark. Assassin of the Grey does them.
Oh! Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about my pictures. I'm like, these are all my pictures. I took them myself.
Well, this one isn't.
Yeah. So here's a better version of the, not a better version, but a more, complete look from the top of Ephesus, just to kind of give you guys some more layout. The lower agora, the theater, the upper agora, the other theater that we were looking at. This is that great theater that I was talking about, the one with the 25,000 people. That's this. What else? Where's the library? I can't see the library.
It's right there below the lower agora.
The lower... Oh, yeah, there it is. That's that. Yeah, and it's... Woo! There's a lot to it. So that's the end of that day. And that brings us to day 14. Heracleion, Knossos, and Santorini. Give it a hot second. I'm just gonna send you the link. I think that's it. Yep, that's day 14.
That's it.
That's it. And this is probably one of my favorite days on the entire trip itself. Because of the history surrounding the place. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at the chat. We have 13 minutes to get through all of these pictures. I don't know if we're going to do it. Oh my god. Actually, you know what? Screw the chat. I'm sorry, guys. But I need to. Alright, so I took a lot of pictures. I took a lot of pictures. I think the reason I took this picture is because there's a peacock in the foreground. You can kind of see it. But while you're appreciating the peacock, and there are a lot of peacocks there, we saw about 4 at Knossos. The significance of Knossos and why it is included on this lovely trip of ancient Greece is because King Minos, if you're unfamiliar with King Minos, we're going to tell you all about him. He dwelt in the palace at Knossos. He had Daedalus construct a labyrinth underneath Knossos, and it was basically a giant maze, kind of, in which he retained his, well, not his son, but his wife's son. And his wife's son was half bull, half human. Reason being is because she got it on with a minotaur in revenge.
She got on with a bull in revenge, I thought.
Or no, she didn't get it on with a minotaur. The minotaur was the result of her getting it on with the bull. The minotaur is half bull, half man. Reason being is because I think Minos didn't want to sacrifice a bull to Poseidon at one point, or it was Zeus. I can't remember which one. But he didn't want to sacrifice a bull. So he neglected to do that to the gods, and as a result, one of the gods, can't remember which one, cursed him.
I believe it was Poseidon.
Huh? It was Poseidon?
Poseidon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lion Patriot. So, Daedalus also built a dancing floor for Queen Ariadne. I hear some noises in the background. Who's the son of Aegeus, Prince of Athens, sailed to Crete to fight off the Minotaur. Ariadne fell in love with Theseus and gave him a ball of string to unwind throughout the maze to keep him from getting lost. So, what you have to understand is that because there was a Minotaur, they had to feed the Minotaur, and they had to feed the Minotaur human beings. And so, the King Minos of Knossos required an annual delivery of children, I think it was young men from distant lands, from other places, because they were such a naval superpower at the time, in order to satiate the great bull man in the basement of the palace. Just because that's what you do. So, obviously, Theseus goes on a quest to kind of stop that from happening, because he is of Athens, which is one of the locations where it is that they are sending their boys to Knossos to be eaten by the bull. Anyway, the Palace of Knossos was abandoned at some unknown time period at the end of the Late Bronze Age. So, kind of between 1380 BC and 1100 BC. There we go. No one really knows why. Could be because there were a lot of disasters, before the palace fell. Wow, I'm losing my place. Before the palace fell, there was maybe an urban population of about 18,000 people. Before its peak, the palace and the surrounding city boasted maybe a population of 100,000 people. Shortly after 17,000 BC. Ha! 1700 BC, and it was unearthed by Sir Arthur Evans, who is an important name in archaeology. If you're not familiar with him, I would go look him up. So the prosperity of Knossos was let me move to a different image because there's the peacock, by the way. That's the fancy peacock that you guys haven't seen yet. He's a noble looking bird. Like I said,
I hate those birds.
You hate them? They make the funniest noises. Let me get to a more impressive picture of the palace. Okay, so this is a little bit better picture of the palace. So the prosperity of Knossos was primarily based on the development of native Cretan resources. So oil, wine, wool. And another important factor is that Knossos was important in trade, because when you're an island area, of course, you're going to be important in trade, especially in the Aegean, where everyone was kind of interacting with each other at different moments for reasons. Herodotus wrote about Mykonos, because he's credited with being the first historian, although I don't know how accurate most of his work is, considering the fact that I'm pretty sure that he was not at most of the places that he wrote about. He just heard stories from people and then wrote down their accounts of what those places were like as well. But that's a debate for another time. We're not going to talk about it. So, the legendary king of Knossos, Mykonos, established a sea empire, because you can do that when you're the king of a fancy place with a minotaur. So, a few possible reasons for the destruction of Minoan civilization was because of Mycenaean invasion forces. So, if you're unfamiliar with the way that Greek ancient history kind of goes, it goes Minoan, which is like pre-Greek, and then Mycenaean, which is pre-Greek, which is, okay, so Minoan is King Minos. Mycenaean is the Trojan War. And then after that is all of the philosopher types, which is very layman's description of Greek history, but, you know, I'm not classics major, so it's okay.
Are you trying to say Mycenaean?
No, it's Mycenaean.
Okay.
I'm like 98% sure it's Mycenaean. Are you telling me that I've been saying it wrong for the past 21 years? Oh my god! Is it...
I was thinking maybe I was saying it wrong.
Oh boy. Chrysantia 888. No, in a Darth Vader voice. Wait, what are you talking about? Am I saying it wrong? I don't think I'm saying it wrong. Okay, so Sir Arthur Evans, when he unearthed all of, you know, Minoan civilization on this island of Knossos in terms of the palace, he decided that he was going to reconstruct certain parts of the palace. Reason being is because this was before people frowned upon reconstructioning just all willy-nilly. And a lot of people think that he went way too far in that regard. And you'll see what I mean by that, because a lot of things, you can see the original masonry itself is completely fine, but a lot of other things are kind of not 100% accurate, and we can't tell if it's 100% accurate or not, because this was done so long ago, and we don't know if it was, you know, butch to high hell, or if it wasn't, because it's been recreated. So you can kind of see support beams, but it's a multi-layered palace. So there's an upper floor, bottom floor, and like, we'll get to it. I'll show it to you a little bit later. But, and okay, so for the example, these are recreated paintings of the actual, on the actual walls themselves that were painted there after Sir Arthur Evans found the place. I'm not 100% sure if this is Arthur Evans who painted it or if it was someone else, but it looks fresher than you'd expect for something that's been dilapidated and then unearthed. So keep going. There's some more examples of this. The reason why I took pictures of this is because you can actually see where it is that people had like little box braids and stuff. It's important because if you know anything,
it's good to see how they did their hair and their fashion.
Well, that's important, but it's also important because it paints a broader picture of when people try to make the argument of where the origins of certain cultural aspects of like hair, fashion, whatever come from. it makes you appreciate the fact that they're not all actually exclusive to certain areas that you think that they are. People have been sharing ideas across borders for many, many, many millennium. It's kind of not. It's annoying for people to circulate themselves, I guess you could say, within a certain area and not let any ideas get out of that, because that's how progression stops. If we didn't have people sharing ideas and cultural values and things across borders, we wouldn't have a lot of the things that we do today. Like Enlightenment issues, Enlightenment ideas. That was an amalgamation of different people from all across Europe, right? So the concept of skepticism, the concept of criticizing the Bible, the concept of natural law and, inalienable rights, the concept of the fact that each person is allotted human decency and dignity. All of these were from different people from different places, and not sharing those ideas significantly stunts the growth of the culture. So which is why when you cut off a culture from other cultures, it's limiting. But I'm not going to get into it super much because I know it's a contentious issue for a lot of people. So more pictures of Knossos. You can see a lot of the masonry is really impressive, but you can also see where it's been propped up by Sir Arthur Evans. Look at these freaking jugs, man. These are jugs that they would use to put, like, wine and stuff in, spices, maybe.
Yeah, the amphoras.
I could fit my whole self into one of these. No joke. Look at that. That's impressive. So this is an important symbol. I have it written down why that's the case.
Is that the sign of the Minotaur's horns?
It is. That is the sign of the Minotaur horns, but it's also a sign of a very particular weapon. Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but bulls were very important to the people of Knossos, and it's very apparent in their architecture, their art, the fact that they had bull leaping in Knossos, which we're going to get to. And we only have 2 minutes left, but that's fine. We can go over time. It's fine. They put people in those.
All right, Weebo. I've been barely listening, and I love you all. This is really boring to me, so I'm going to dip out and get my woman some food.
All right, have fun.
See ya.
Do you think?
Peace out, Weebo. You should talk to me more. We don't talk anymore.
Yeah, we'll talk. I got you, fam.
I'll feed this in.
I'll do this in. Alright, so more architecture, more lovely masonry. Oh, you appreciate that masonry. But you can actually see the difference in where it is that they've reconstructed things versus not. And, yeah. So, keep going through that. This is where, okay, so obviously you're going to put a covering over places where water can kind of pool, because water destroys things, it erodes things like no other. Oh my god, it's bad for you. But this is essentially where they would put storerooms and stuff. This is where they would store grain, water, wine, things that you would store.
Perishables.
Yeah. You can kind of see it. It's really intricately designed palace. Just from me walking around it, you can kind of tell that there's a lot going on here, which is probably why it gets the myth of the labyrinth assigned to it, because the palace is constructed like you would a labyrinth or a maze. It's confusing. There's so much to it, and it's a lot. So this is the outside. Oh, so you can see, like, actually there are 3 levels to this palace from what you can see in just this picture alone. But right in front of you, we're going to go into the main throne room, or what is, assigned as the main throne room of Knossos. You're actually going to see how grandiose an actual throne room back in the times would look like, as opposed to, say, what you would expect a throne room to look like accordance to the movies, because they're not the same. So this is kind of what the throne room looks like. You have some columns here, you have some art on the walls, and then right over there in the corner is the stone throne. Not very comfortable looking, is it?
No, not really, but it lasted.
It lasts, but that's because it's, like, built to last. And you see in the middle there...
It was probably gilded at some point, too.
It probably was, but it does not look very comfortable, and it doesn't look like I would fit very comfortably on that throne.
That's why I'm wondering if it's just a base, and they had something else attached to a wood or something.
It very well could be, but really we can't tell because wood is perishable and stone not so much. So outside of the throne room, you see more architecture, more columns. It's a very big palace. It's very massive, and it even goes down deeper too. Look at that. That's a lower level, and as you can tell, it has been reconstructed on all levels by Sir Arthur Evans, which is not like it's a reason to be concerned with the validity of what it is that you're actually seeing, because we're not 100% sure what is and what isn't a recreation.
Kind of a bad reconstruction too. They didn't really keep it as authentic as some of the other reconstructions we've seen.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you have to understand is that they did find and unearth and recreate this when architecture. Archaeology, thank you, was in its infancy, so that is something to be considered. So I'm not expecting them to get it 100% right that early on in history, but it does give you reason to take a pause before you do anything with regards to this. A lot of the things that you do in life, you gotta think about. You gotta think about before you actually do them, because some things have lasting consequences, and one of those things is we don't know. We don't know because Sir Arthur Evans is gone and can't really give us a full perspective. I took a risk taking this picture. I want you to know that. Alright, this is what it looks like from the other side. And I got a picture of it because I'm like, this is so cool how deep it goes. Wow, this is a very big palace. And it is a very big palace, but I also took a risk because you're not supposed to do this, by the way. More pictures. Lots of masonry. Look at that stone stairway. It lasted. I think that also might have been a little bit recreated, but you get the idea. It's a very big palace. Lots and lots of levels. Lots and lots of layers. Lots and lots of masonry. Very impressive. I believe this is the Queen's throne room or something, or the Queen's bathroom, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but oh no, these are the dolphins. Dolphins are important. Why? Because I wrote about it. What is the dolphins? What is important about the dolphins? You ask. Well, I'll tell you. No, I won't, because I forgot to write about it. Gosh. Where are the dolphins? I can't tell you. I have no idea. It's just impressive.
I love how the dolphins kind of have duck bills in their...
Yeah. More vases. And you can see that they are locked up. So this is actually one of those earlier Greek theater... By early, I mean pre-Greek, so Minoan Greek theater type things. And this is where they used to do the bull leaping. So this is what they did for pastimes in ancient Greek civilization. And then we get a whole bunch of gilded jewelry and stuff. So this is where the museum is where they keep all of the important bits. The ones that are expensive and the ones that are small that they can't actually up-end and put into a museum. Like, the actual site itself is removed, or no, the actual intricate little design thingies, any little tidbits of fun that you would find at a site just on its own, are taken and put in the museum for viewing purposes. So we get a lot of those trinkets. I took a lot of pictures of everything that they found because I'm a good Weebo and I take pictures. You can kind of see some of the ancient weapons themselves. They've lasted. Little axes and such. Look at that. That's an important bee pendant. And I wrote it down, but we don't have time to discuss it because reasons. Oh, these were little figurines, and we discussed them in the very first stream that I did about the Greece trip. But obviously, I'm not going to go into a whole lesson on that as well again because I've already talked about it, and we're over time. We are so over time. We're 5 minutes over time. Anyway, we're 5 minutes. I knew it was going to take long, but I didn't know it was going to take this long. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm not salty about it.
Ooh, I like the palace reconstruction, or the model.
Mm-hmm. So this is, we're not there yet.
Oh.
This is, more weapons, and they're in a right state. You don't expect metal to last forever, especially when it's been, crafted into a certain constitution and then left out. Exposed.
And they were also probably raw iron. They weren't steel at all. So
yeah, they had their misgivings. So this is a recreation, artist rendition of the Palace of Knossos, and I think I have several different angles of it because I wanted to get like the full picture of it. As you can see, it looks like a freaking labyrinth. It's huge too. That's just impressive for such an ancient civilization. Alright, so we're gonna go through this real quick. Look at all those levels. Look at all those layers! Am I right, people? Anyway, more pictures. Look at that. That's Knossos. That's the palace. It's a very impressive palace. I was impressed. I don't know about you, but this is where they did the bull leaping thing. That's where we ended our trip. Look at that. That's so cool. More trinkets. And these are bigger versions of the little axes that I showed you, which are symbolic of Knossos, which are important, I guess, or were important back in the day. Some more trinkets. These are wall reliefs, and you can actually see the different skin tones of the people that were civilization, or part of the civilization of Knossos, which is also important because it proves Radio 1 and the other guy that I had discrepancy with about this a few months ago, that there were Greeks of all many different colors in the Aegean, especially back then. So
I think Eve wants to pop in for a second.
Who?
Eve.
Hi, Eve. We're almost done with the Greek stream, but you can join us for the last couple of minutes. Anyway, so these are more reliefs. You see, look at all that. Look at all that bull leaping. That's the guy bull leaping over a bull. You can kind of make out what it looks like. By the way, all of these pictures are going to be available in the stream chat of the Discord. If you guys want to just peruse through them, this is day 7 through 14 of my trip to Greece. Anything that I pretty much have that doesn't dox me or anyone that I went on the trip with is available there. So you can enjoy that if you would like to.
Look at all that grease.
Look at all that grease. And this is a female woman who is opening her shirt on a wall relief in Knossos.
Nice.
Look at that. Oh, these are the snake women. I did an entire project on them for ancient Greek. Oh, what was it? Introduction to Mediterranean Archaeology. I did an entire paper on these things, so I'll probably discuss it in a later video at some point, because I did a whole paper on it, and I feel like I need to be appreciated for it. But I digress. You can see her boobies in the actual picture itself, but I had to star over them for reasons. More wall reliefs. The Greeks did a lot of painting. You see more of that.
That's how they told their stories.
It is. Especially, it's how you get to see a bigger, clearer picture of the lives of the ancients. Some clay tablets. This is how you know exactly what it is that, people would. This is how we learn the languages sometimes. It's important.
So you're saying the Greeks needed a lot of relief?
Ah, you're funny. This is a boar tusk helmet recreated, obviously, because originally the boar tusk helmet was just a whole bunch of boar tusks on the floor, because I think the binding had decayed to a point where it was just falling off. So they had to reapply them in such a way as it was originally. But boar tusk helmets were important, and I covered that in the original stream, so we're not going to go into it. I believe this is a sarcophagus, and it's got its own relief. It's either a bathtub or a sarcophagus. I want to go with sarcophagus, but...
Well, looking at all the offerings, they have probably sarcophagus.
Yeah, no, these are the bathtubs. That's why I was confused, because I remember taking pictures of bathtubs. These are bathtubs. Look at that. And then these are artist renderings of what outfits would have looked like back in the day. And these are based off of what we have currently available. And if you can kind of see, they were not shy about the
colors.
Well, that and also the breast area. They were just kind of all about that boobie. I'm not even kidding. Like, you see a lot of pictures. This is what they base the designs off of, a lot of. That and, what is it called? That and the reliefs themselves are what they base the designs off of. So I kind of got some pictures of that. Because I, as someone who works in costume shops and costumes, are, impressed. I'm just gonna...
IR is impressed.
Huh?
That IR is impressed.
IR is impressed, yes. Here's another outfit. I'd totally wear the heck out of that, by the way. I'd look good. Anyway, continuing on. More reliefs. Why are we taking forever to go through these? More reliefs. That's another relief. That's the actual word for what these are called, by the way, reliefs. You can kind of see the way that the art is. And a lot of this is based off of just little snippets of wall that's left over from what it is, because a lot of these aren't actually there. It's just artist renderings or what it would have looked like. It's
Yeah,
an
you can see the chunks that they have, actually pasted up there.
Yeah, the little chunks that they actually have as opposed to what it is that they've recreated. They try their best. They don't always get it right, but they try their best. Some more examples of this. More dolphins! Look at that. Some cool figurines. More cool figurines. More cool faces. These are a little bit later on in history books. These are more Bronze Age than they are Minoan. Or not Bronze Age, classical. These are coins from all around the world that were found at Knossos, which is just another point for me about how diverse cultures were meeting up with each other back in the day.
That's really interesting, actually.
These are the list of coins from different places. Like I said, coins from all over the world found at Knossos.
I love coins.
Yeah. And then more what looks like it could be technically considered Egyptian art, but, you know, I didn't get a chance to actually go through these. This wasn't on the tour list. I just kind of meandered around looking for things to take pictures of after they finished off with the tour. I just took a whole bunch of pictures of a whole bunch of statues because I thought they were cool looking. Look at that. Look at that. You can actually see where the face was hacked off of this statue. And that's because it was either they were trying to get rid of the imagery itself, the iconography, or it was because, or it was also probably also because they were repurposing certain things for different architectural stuff. And then this is Santorini. This is Santorini from an outside perspective. There's not really a lot special about Santorini except that it used to be called Thera, and it's where a lot of historians and archaeologists think that the myth of Atlantis kind of originated. There's certainly a lot of argumentation in favor of it. We're not going to get super into it, but Santorini is a very interesting place because it erupted several thousand years ago, and a lot of the island fell into the sea, and that's what actually I'm sitting currently in this picture. I am sitting over a somewhat active volcano, waiting for it to erupt, taking pictures of the actual location itself. This is the view from the top of Santorini, where it is that I was just taking those pictures from. You kind of have to go in a zigzag up the entire embankment because it's so steep, because it was exploded several years ago by a volcano. So if you ever get a chance to, definitely check it out. The actual city on Santorini, the ancient site, we didn't get a chance to see for whatever reason. We just went to the touristy location because we just, I don't know why we did it. It was just reasons. You can see more lovely, lovely pictures of the area. And this is from the other side. Here. Oh, this is from the, they have like a, not a zip line, but a gondola. That's what it's called. A gondola down from the actual top of Santorini down to the sea, where it is that you can get picked up by your boat, or by a boat to get onto the other boat. And so this is a picture of that. I'm just getting, yeah, kind of zoomed out a little bit. The reason why it's so weirdly cropped is because I didn't want to accidentally dox anyone that I was on the trip with. So we're just going to pretend like this is totally the full picture. This is what it looks like. Wow, I didn't do a very good job cropping, did I? Whatever, it's fine. Ooh, yeah, this is Santorini from nighttime down below. It looks really interesting. You can actually see where the zigzaggy bit is. It's right there, off to the left. And this is a picture of... Yes, this is a picture of Knossos, I'm pretty sure. Yep, this is a picture of Knossos. Just kind of a floor plan of the upper level from above. That's what that looks like. And that's a picture of Santorini from above, too. So you can actually see where it is that there was a volcano and is no more a volcano, where everything kind of just dipped into the ground.
The whole caldera.
The caldera is fascinating. Anyway, so that's the end of my Greece trip. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's take a look at the chat. Pneumatic artist, otherwise, what did you say? Pneumatic artist, she's already been ratted out. Your YouTube messages are in the internet forever. Atlantis was in the Atlantic. Derp. Not quite, Just because it's called Atlantis does not mean that it was in the Atlantic. There's a lot of scholarship on the subject of Atlantis, and, from my research, there's actually a pretty good argument to be made that Santorini Thera is the site that they're referring to when they talk about Atlantis. Because they've actually not found Atlantis. Atlantis is a Greek myth, actually, believe it or not. Pneumatic artist. But yeah, the caldera itself, what was Santorini, is thought to be the origins of that myth itself. Anyway, so we're 16 minutes over, so I'm just gonna cut it out. Well, not cut it out, but I have to go eat dinner before it is that I go to class. So I apologize for not having any more enthralling conversation, but we did have a good time. We learned some things. I hope we had some interesting factoids that we learned from today's stream, and you guys got to see some really cool stuff. Thank you, chat, for coming out. Thank you, thank you, the UFO Answer, for donating earlier, and thank you to my lovely co-hosts that have come on with me, Eve, for, what it's worth. You didn't really say a lot, but that's totally fine. You came in last minute. Lion Patriot, Jolandar, and obviously Liberty Sanity Project. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning about Greece from my perspective. So yeah. Bye, everybody.